For Metro, we're going to get started. I have 6 o'clock on my watch. So
Go
if I
ahead. Yeah.
ask everybody to please mute themselves while we're doing the presentation and unmute if you have any questions, but we'll get through this a lot better if everybody's on mute. I would like to welcome everyone for coming out and watching tonight. Certainly no better place to be than home on a night like this. But we're going to get started here with our presentation about the Reinventing Metro improvements. So sit back and enjoy. Also, I would like to point out that we do have an sign language interpreter as part of our meeting tonight for those who have hearing impairments. So let's take it away with a greeting from Daryl Haley, the CEO of Metro.
Hello, I'm Daryl Haley, CEO of Metro. Thank you for joining us today. This is a very exciting time for us here at Metro. With the passage of Issue 7, it's now time to roll out the Reinventing Metro plan. The Reinventing Metro plan includes infrastructure improvements. It includes more frequent bus service. It improves improved customer amenities. Today, you'll hear a presentation about all of those exciting changes that are coming. Thank you for your help in Reinventing Metro. Together, we will usher in a new era for transit in Hamilton County.
Thank you, Daryl. Before we get started, I would like to thank Aaron Bly and the Cincinnati Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired for helping to convene this meeting tonight. We'll hear a brief welcome from Aaron right now.
Hey everybody! I see some friendly faces that I know on the picture. So welcome. I guess one pro about a virtual meeting tonight of all nights is that you don't have to be out in the cold and snow to attend. So that's a good thing. I wanted to take just a quick moment to introduce myself and thank everybody for being here tonight. My name is Aaron Bly, as you can see on the screen. By day, I'm the Vice President of Community Relations for CABVI. And in addition to my role here, I'm also the board president for the newly created Everybody Rides Metro board, which is part of SORTA. So our board began in December, and we're getting underway as a result of the levy passing as well. So again, I hope tonight's session is beneficial to everyone joining us. You know, transportation is such a vital component in our community, and especially around the subject of access. I mean, we just know how important of an area this is and wanted to spend some time sharing information with you about the overall plan and then chatting a little bit about access. So again, welcome, sit back, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Have a great evening, guys.
Thank you, Aaron. Now we'll have just a few housekeeping items to get out of the way before we start the presentation. We ask everyone that has questions to please use the chat feature that's available through Zoom. You can type your questions in there and later we will be answering them. We also ask that anyone who has a question that didn't get asked tonight or that a question comes to mind after the meeting's over, or they just want to comment on what they heard tonight, please send emails to reinventingmetro@go-metro.com. I can promise you that email address is checked every day and answers are provided in a very timely fashion. So we really do want your feedback there. We also invite everyone to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Cincinnati Metro. And after tonight's meeting, we will be sending you an email with a brief survey and instructions on how to get your free access ride ticket. So that's very important that we get your feedback, and also we get your information on how to provide you with that free access ride ticket. All right, with no further ado, I would like to introduce Mark Mcewen. Mark is the manager of ADA and Accessible Services, and his smiling face is the one that is behind the access service that you receive. So, Mark, you're up.
Thanks, Dave. Just wanted to make sure everybody can hear me here. All right. Well,
We got you, Mark.
Okay, let's get started. Again, my name is Mark Mcewen. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to jump right into Reinventing Metro, kind of big picture. What is it and what are our objectives? So back last year, the Hamilton County passed Issue 7, which increase funding for Metro for both fixed route big bus and for access. And so part of the objectives for Reinventing Metro are to expand regional connectivity between the different transit systems in the region, including Tank, Metro, Butler County, Claremont County, Warren County, and even Indiana. Also, one of the goals for Reinventing Metro is to drive economic development and improve mobility for all through increased frequencies, which we'll get to later, span of service, increased access coverage, and more. Also, one of the objectives is to attract new businesses and employers to the area. If transit is more robust in this region, we'll have a better chance of getting more businesses and more employers into our region. It will make us more competitive as a city and as a region. And then access to more and higher paying jobs. So with more robust public transportation, we'll be able to get people where they need to go, which includes jobs that are not necessarily in the central business district or around the city of Cincinnati. We need to expand our service to more of the county where some of those higher income and higher paying jobs are. So that is part of the Reinventing Metro plan. And then also, we want to improve local and regional quality of life for everybody, particularly those who rely on us day in and day out to get where they need to go. So 4 areas of focus within Reinventing Metro are FAST is the acronym that we use: frequency, amenities, span, and travel time. Frequency is your wait time between buses. So when the schedule is such that you have to wait, if you just missed your bus and you have to wait for 45 minutes for the next one, that's really inconvenient. Versus if the next one comes in 10 minutes, you're only waiting for 10 minutes if you just missed that previous bus. Amenities, improving our places that we have to wait for the bus, safer, more comfortable places to wait and transfer. Those things include benches, shelters, transit centers. Also span. This is how long the buses run each day. So we're really trying to cover all shifts and all different types of work hours that people might have to get to their job, not at the 9 to 5 type job, but actually in the evening or overnight. So span is important for getting people where they need to go at all times of day. And then the last one is travel time. This is just the amount of time that you spend traveling from point A to point B where you're trying to go. So we're trying to reduce the amount of time that you're waiting between buses if you have to transfer, or the time that you're just sitting on the bus itself. Hopefully we can get some routes that are going to be faster to your destination, so you're not waiting as long or sitting on the bus as long. And some big picture things as far as job access that Reinventing Metro is going to improve for the region. We're going to see estimated 20,000 jobs that are going to be accessible by Metro with the fully built out Reinventing Metro plan. That's in addition to what we already serve. We'll see 740 more employers within the Metro service area when Reinventing Metro is completed. And then also we'll have, our riders will have access to $850 million in wages that were not accessible before in the current Metro footprint as it exists today. So one of the strategies that we are looking at to solve some of the problems, particularly out in the suburban areas of Hamilton County, is mobility on demand. So there are different flavors, if you will, that you could use for this mobility on demand, but some people might have heard it as first and last mile connections. So you can get the bus to a certain point, but then you can't quite get to your job or to the agency that you're trying to get to on the bus. So it's either a really far walk or it's just not viable for you to take public transit, where this allows you to kind of get from the bus stop to your final destination. So there's a few different flavors, as I said, that we could use to do that. And we're planning and working on strategies for which one works best in which areas. But there's point deviation flex, which is essentially it's on a fixed route, but it can kind of go off 3/4 of a mile in either direction if you reserve that trip in advance. There's also anchored dial and ride, which again kind of has this linear fixed route, if you will, but then you can still request to go off of that fixed route in a geographic area that's designated by the route itself. So I could kind of go off of Montgomery Road, if you will, half a mile to where I need to be. So it gets me more of that door-to-door service compared to the regular Metro bus now, which I have to walk from the bus stop to wherever my final destination is, or I have to travel from that specific location to where I'm trying to end up. And dynamic flex is kind of more like an Uber or Lyft rideshare type service where it's just in a geographic area and you just service on request. You maybe get a phone out to call, or you get a phone out to plan your trip on an app, and it's more curb to curb service. Another main feature of Reinventing Metro will be Bus Rapid Transit, or BRT. BRT is a limited stop, faster service than a regular Metro bus, if you will. It often has protected right-of-way, which also has signal priority at intersections. It can go through an intersection if it's communicating with the lights there at that intersection to go past the traffic, as well as in that protected right-of-way, it can avoid any traffic that might be on the road beside it, as you can see in this picture. And then specially branded vehicles and enhanced shelters will also be a part of BRT. And as well as off-board fare payment, that helps speed the boarding process up. A lot of times it can take 30 seconds to a minute or even more at a bus stop to have everybody pay their fare. But if you pay beforehand and you just can hop right on, then that helps speed up the process. So these are the 4 areas that we are looking at having BRT. And this is more of a long range plan. This isn't going to happen in the next year. But the planning and the environmental studies and all of the studying that has to go into building these corridors out will take, more than 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But you can see Glenway Avenue there on the west side is one of the corridors under consideration. Hamilton Avenue is also one, Reading Road and Montgomery Road. The plan is to have 3 different types of stations, one being like a park and ride station where people might drive to that particular station, park their cars, and take the BRT bus into town wherever they're trying to go. There's also a business district type station, which is more built up and able for more in business districts or around things like UC, which are going to have kind of higher ridership generators and be more built out as far as stations are concerned. And then neighborhood stations are going to be a little bit smaller scale, but still with all the amenities that you're looking for when you're taking the bus. And that's pretty much the 3 different types of stations that we envision with this BRT plan. So 5-year plan overall, we are expanding access service. As we expand our regular Metro bus routes into the county, we will also be expanding our access service to match that Metro fixed route bus service. Also, we'll be increasing our frequency and our span for faster travel times, as we talked about earlier. There'll be more crosstown routes connecting communities and job centers out in the county. More transit centers, which will offer safe and comfortable places to wait and transfer. We'll also be having more amenities on board the buses. So free Wi-Fi will continue to be an amenity that will be on Metro buses moving forward, and access vehicles as well, and charging ports and things like that. There'll also be more suburban job connectivity with the new demand responsive services that we talked about earlier as well. And then more options for faster travel with bus rapid transit BRT limited stop service. So I'm going to go through year one, which is happening this year, the improvements to Metro's fixed route big bus service, and then we'll get into access specific improvements that we're going to see. So there is going to be 6 routes that will become 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365 days a year service. And those routes will be the 33, the 17, the 78, the 43, the 4, and the 11. Also, a couple of things that will be happening this year. The Route 16 and the Route 20 will now run on Sundays, which they previously have not run on Sundays, and they'll have a little bit better span of service as well throughout the week. And then the 46 will extend to Winton Hills. It will kind of take over for the 43 Winton Hills pattern that formerly or that currently exists. And I think that's pretty much it as far as the year one improvements that we're going to see through Reinventing Metro. And now I'll move on to access. So when all of the new routes are built out in the next 4 years, 5 years, we're going to see a different access coverage area. So the map on the screen shows a green kind of coverage area, which is our existing access coverage area. And then the blue that you can see on the edges of that green coverage area are the new areas that we're going to be providing service through access. So formerly, about 42% of the county was covered by access area. And after Reinventing Metro is fully implemented, it'll be about 54% of the county, which may not sound like much, but when you put it in perspective of the population of Hamilton County, we currently serve about 70% of the population of Hamilton County. And with Reinventing Metro improvements, it'll be 81% of the population approximately of Hamilton County. So as I mentioned earlier, those 6 routes that are going to be 24-hour service means that access will be 24-hour service as well. You'll be able to book trips within this area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that's a change that we will have to see over on the access side of our operations, where it will become 24 hours starting later this year. Another thing that's happening as a part of Reinventing Metro, there will be a fare simplification happening in April of this year. So access fares will change just like Metro fares are changing. Access will go from a $3.50 ticket or a $4.50 ticket to just a straight $4 ticket across the entire service area. So there will no longer be zones. It'll just be one zone, $4 flat fare for a one ride ticket. We're also going to be changing the color and design a little bit to brighten things up and make it more exciting. Another exciting thing that's happening this year with access, there will be mobile ticketing on your smartphone if you so choose, just like on the Metro bus side, how you can purchase your tickets on there. you'll be able to do the same thing with access fares starting later this year through the Easy Fare app, which is free to download on your Apple and or Android phones. We are also working to get new vehicles at Access. So we are going to be probably switching to a low floor vehicle design compared to what we currently have, which is a lift equipped vehicle. We'll have a ramp style low floor vehicle. So you'll be able to get on and off without having to be lifted up on the lift that we currently have. We're also pursuing vehicles with alternative fuels, potentially electric vehicles here in the next year or two. So some exciting things happening here at Access.
Thank you, Mark. We are going to, you've heard enough talking from us now. Now we'd like to hear from you. I would like to repeat that you can ask questions. Please use the chat feature. Also, after tonight, if you have an additional question or you have a comment or an idea for us, please send an email to reinventingmetro@go-metro.com. Keep up to date on all the latest Metro news with social media by following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @Cincinnati Metro. After tonight's meeting, we will send you an email with a brief survey and instructions on how to get your free access ticket. I can't overstate the importance of that survey. The whole purpose of us doing these meetings is to gather feedback from the community. And we need to hear from you if there's something that we haven't thought about, or if there's something that you would like to see done differently. That's the only way that we will know, is if you complete these surveys and give us your feedback. Now let's get to your questions. Okay, here. Tamara wants to know why some of the people are very nasty. I'm not sure what that question is relating to.
If you have any specific issues that arise while you're writing on Access service or on Metro
It's
service.
for access.
Okay, please send that to our customer service and we'll investigate whatever that particular issue is and address it.
Tamara follows up with where she's living is an issue. She rides Access and they don't want to come to her house.
Again, if she would please reach out to me or email the Reinventing Metro address if she's able, and we will address that issue with her, whatever it may be.
Michael wants to know, will Access be expanded to 24 hours in areas where Metro is? And will we be able to pay Access fares using the mobile app? And how will Access prices be affected?
So yeah, we will be expanding to 24-hour service in areas where Metro goes to 24 hours, which is that map that I had shown a little bit ago had those 6 routes that are turning 24 hours on the big bus side. We will also be able to perform trips within that area. So you'll be able to perform trips in that area all hours of the day as well. And then the mobile app will be coming later this year in the next few months. So be on the lookout for that. You'll be able to purchase Access tickets on there. And then the Access prices. So $4 will be the flat fare. And I know there's a question down a little bit further. If you have a $3.50 or a $4.50 ticket, you are able to use those after April 4th as if they were a $4 ticket. We are not doing exchanges at this point. So a 450 ride will just be like a $4 ride. So you can use those tickets interchangeably through the end of the year.
Gina wants to know what the current service hours of access are.
It depends on the day, but weekdays, we typically start at 3:30 in the morning and go till just after midnight. And then on Saturdays, we start at 4 in the morning and go till just after midnight. And on Sundays, we start at 5:30 currently, and we go till midnight. So we go for 19, 20 hours a day typically, but it will be 24 hours a day in those areas where Metro routes are going 24 hours.
And then Larry would like to know what kind of service improvements are going to be happening in Orient Township and Seven Hills.
Would that be access service in those areas, or would that be Metro service?
Both, he says.
Okay. So for access, I can speak to that. Whenever the service hours change for like the Route 17 Northgate that goes up there, or the Route 19, if those are expanded, which I believe they are, I'd have to ask Mcewen, who might be on here, I could answer that question. But if the fixed route bus, if that schedule goes later into the night or earlier in the morning, then access will be servicing that area earlier in the morning or later at night.
Yeah, and this is Mcewen here, Service Planner 3 with Metro. In terms of the expansion of non-access service, for example, Route 17, which covers that the Seven Hills on Northgate and Mount Airy area, on Sundays, only 2 of the branches actually run, and one of those is not the Northgate branch. However, starting at the end of this year, that Northgate branch will be running on Sunday. In fact, the Sunday schedule will be similar to the Saturday schedule. So that stretch of Pippin, where the 17 Northgate runs, will get more service, Pippin and Compton. And with the addition of more crosstown services, the Seven Hills and Northgate area will be better connected to the rest of the west side heading south, with new crosstown routes. And for phase 1, that 24-hour route branch being the Mount Healthy branch, that is in the first year. In future years or later in the process, we would be open to moving or to extending some of those branches, or picking longer alignments, for example, which would benefit, in the case of Route 17, the Seven Hills or Northgate area, which would then also get 24-hour access service. So yeah, lots of exciting things happening in that area, including much more frequency on all of the routes that serve the northwest part of Hamilton County.
Thank you, Mark. I will point out that Mcewen will stay on with us the rest of the meeting. So if you have any additional questions about the Metro side of things, he will be able to help out with answers. And contrary to what you might think, you do not have to be named Mark to work at Metro. We have a comment from Gina, who just says that we need to expand access to countywide. And then we have a question from Deb, who wants to know about coverage to Springdale area. I guess, again, is that coverage of access service or coverage of Metro service, or both?
I think we can just say do both. Okay.
Yeah, we can say both. As far as, I'll let Mark go, because whatever fixed route's doing influences what the service provided on the access side will be. So I know that there's the Route 20, which is going to run on Sundays now. What are some other things, Mark?
Yeah, so the Route 20 will run on Sundays, and that's the only route that serves Winton Road and then cuts over to Tri-County on Kemper. So that alignment will have Sunday service now. So I think that will affect where Access serves on Sunday. And then all of the routes serving the Springdale area will get more frequency, and there will be new crosstown routes kind of along Kemper Road, east and west. And in addition, there's several areas in Hamilton County, just going back to the mobility on demand part of the presentation that Mark talked about, we're going to do a number of those sort of zones around Hamilton County. And although we haven't determined exactly where those boundaries will be and the timeline for the implementation, the northern part of Hamilton County, especially around Springdale, Sharonville, and Forest Park, is one of the areas that we're definitely high on the list. And that would be something that would be a new entirely accessible option, depending on the type of the service in that part of the county.
And then Sherry says that they were told that the $3.50 and $4.50 price change to $4 would change on March 13th, 2021. And we just said it was going to be on April 4th.
Yeah, so that had to be pushed back to April 4th for various reasons, but April 4th is the firm new date of when the fares are going to be changing.
And we have a question from Kitty. Will people who have $4.50 tickets be able to get refunds since they will have overpaid?
As I said earlier, we're looking at this as a one ride to one ride transfer. So there will not be refunds for the people who have $4.50 tickets, but you will still be able to ride with that $4.50 ticket to wherever you need to go.
Now we have a shout out from James. He says mobile ticketing is a great thing for Access, and 24-hour service will make getting to jobs a lot easier for people with disabilities. Melissa has a question. She's excited about the changes to Access, but will it eventually be possible to schedule trips online?
We are looking into, and we're actually currently updating our IT infrastructure to look forward to the future for when we can do things like booking our trips on our phone or online or through an IVR phone type system. So those are things that we're looking at. They're not on the immediate horizon as it is today, but definitely we're looking toward things like that. Yes.
Christopher has a question. What are we doing to orient visually impaired riders, Metro riders, to the new bus stops and boarding procedures? When the Northside Transit Center opened in October, no information was given about how a blind person can navigate the facility. He ended up contacting orientation and mobility professionals at CABVI and were able to find some general information. Taylor is also working with CABVI on some ways to disseminate this information, but SORTA has punted responsibility for travel training to CABVI, where travel training is generally provided to people with other disabilities by staff at SORTA. How is SORTA addressing this? I will say that we have met with individuals, orientation and mobility individuals out at the Northside Transit Center, and we did shoot a video. It is in the process of being edited and produced right now, so that will be coming, and it'll be available on our website. Matt says he has a housemate who's going to start riding Access tomorrow. Will there be any Access service improvements for the Anderson Township area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that although the Anderson area doesn't have a 24-hour route plan, there will be longer span of service on the main routes that run like especially along Beachmont and 5 Mile. We'll have a new crosstown route that goes from Anderson north to Marymount and then Kenwood. So it's kind of that northern part of Anderson will have new coverage, as well as the Newtown, the village of Newtown. And yeah, so there'll be some coverage expansion in Anderson, as well as the new route and the possibility of future mobility on demand service in that area as well.
Regina would like to know if the rules for scheduling access travel will change.
They are not planning to change. The rules around scheduling the day before or 7 days out will continue to be the practice in the immediate future.
Hi, this is Lisa. Can I just add to that our care center just expanded their hours. On weekdays, we are taking reservations from as early as 6:30 in the morning until 6:00 p.m.
Thank you, Lisa. That's important information. Michael would like to know if the people who have the $3.50 tickets will need to drop 50 cents to make up the difference in fare once it goes up.
They will not have to. That $3.50 ticket will represent a one ride ticket. So there won't, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Lisa, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It will be a $3.50 ticket. Will just act as a $4 ticket. Is that correct?
That's right. Both the current tickets, the $3.50 and $4.50 tickets that are in circulation will be used as a $4 ticket until the end of the year. We'll accept that. So if you have some of those that you've accumulated, you can use those until December 31st of this year. And after that, into 2022, we will no longer accept anything but the $4 tickets. And anyone who has those old tickets that are maybe light blue or pink, green or yellow, and other varying amounts, you would have to make up the difference to get to that $4 fare.
Jamie wants to know what is being done to have access notifications of when they have arrived, especially in circumstances for the blind and visually impaired where access isn't within earshot.
So again, that goes back to our IT infrastructure piece. And again, we're working on updating that. We've got systems that are 10 years old at this point. So we're trying to just get up to today's date as far as that is concerned. So it is something that we're working on, but it's not something that we have in the works for the immediate future of this year. At this point, what exists as far as when access arrives at your pickup location is remaining the same.
And we had questions from Paula and Melissa basically about the same topic, wanting to know if there might be a possibility to have a notification when the vehicle arrives, particularly when we're experiencing this super cold weather that we have been experiencing. So I think Mark answered that question. That is something that we'll possibly be able to do with future upgrades to our IT infrastructure. We have come to the end of our questions in the chat, but I would like to open up the floor if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask out loud while we're all still together here. Please feel free. Wait, Deb just sent us one more question here in the chat. She wants to know if Batavia or Amelia are included in the Anderson runs by chance.
They are not included in the routes that go by Anderson at this point. They are staying within the boundaries of Hamilton County.
This is Michael Denlinger. I have another question.
Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, I was wondering, will access service be restored? Will access service be restored in the Denton area around the Western Hills area? Because about 13 years ago, the service was cut off around that area due to cuts. and I was wondering if the new improvements in Reinventing Metro is going to restore that. And my last question is did I hear Lisa say earlier that reservations are being made as late as 6 o'clock in the evening?
Yes, that's true. And that's weekdays from 6:30 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. We made some changes to the customer care center, and it's now a one-stop shop. So when you call, any of the agents can help you with Metro information about the buses, school routes. They can make an access reservation, or they can file a complaint or commendation for you.
Okay, and can you tell me if you don't mind when that changed? Because I still haven't been able to make reservations past 5.
That changed, actually, that went into effect at the beginning of February, but I'll make sure to bring that to the supervisor's attention.
Okay, and how about the access service in the Denton Western Hills area? Will that be restored as well?
There will be some additional service kind of west of where our service area ends now. I don't know that it's going to go out as planned right now, all the way out to Dent, like by where I-74 is, but it is extending a little bit beyond where it is now.
I was thinking of like around the area where the movie theater is out there.
Okay. I do not believe it's going that far at this point as the plan stands. Mark, is that correct?
Yeah, as of now, there's nothing in the plan about extending service up like Harrison to Rybolt, that area. But we'd be happy to take a look at that area, and we have quite a bit of interest in going up that corridor in general. So that may change in the future.
Hold mute, currently unmuted, hold.
Hello.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
More sandwiches here.
This is Kitty with a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Kitty. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay, good. I was wondering, I understand that you've been working on the IT infrastructure for years, but in the meantime, if someone who is blind or visually impaired isn't able to know when the access bus is coming without putting themselves in a compromised health or safety position, can we request and get a call from a dispatcher to let us know when the bus is getting close to reaching our location? So that we're not like standing out and 0-degree weather, just to try to make sure that we hear a bus coming.
I will look into this a little bit more in depth. Like I've said before, the IT part of it is not there, but the callback function, with several hundred trips a day and the dispatchers being the only ones there to take and receive calls, we'll look into it.
What about the
realize
drivers? If they have it on the manifest, could they call us?
We have a cell phone policy where while they're operating the vehicle, they're not supposed to be using it. Now, if they're pulled over to a safe location, then they can use it if they're out of their seat. But as far as having the drivers do that, again, we'll look into both of those options and just kind of figure out logistically, could
It
that work?
seems like it would be a reasonable accommodation. And I've been on the bus where many of them have used their cell phones. So, you know,
Please let us know if you do see that. We would like that reported. Thank you.
Hold the audio now unmuted.
This is Michael Dillinger. If I could add one more thing to what the lady before me was just saying, and she's absolutely right. I have seen drivers on their cell phones several times, and I also agree with her that it should be a reasonable accommodation of some kind, where even if the drivers themselves can't do it, dispatch or somebody ought to be able to, because like me, for example, I have an immune deficiency that if I'm outside for too long and I get exposed to the elements or I'm getting rained on, that could mess up my wheelchair, or I could get sick and God knows what. And you know, especially one thing I'm sure if COVID's taught us anything, that those of us who are elderly or have compromised immune systems should be careful. So I would think something like that should fall under the reasonable accommodation thing.
Hold the audio now unmuted.
This is James. Though, if there anything inside of the plan to cut down the ride times, people that's going to access bus, because before in the past there's been like way too long of times that we have been. I know sometimes a lot of us are on a ride, and sometimes I've been up there for longer than 2.5 hours. So there's any plans to hire more drivers to cut down the unnecessary trip time for access like this?
Absolutely, that's something that we're going to be working on to reduce the amount of time that somebody is on a vehicle. One of the things that we talked about earlier, the mobility on demand, depending on where we are going to be putting those, particularly potentially like the northern part of the county, in Springdale and Sharonville and Blue Ash, those areas, that will be another option for everybody, including people who ride access. So that might actually end up being a good alternative for certain trips, depending on where you're trying to go and where you're coming from. That will just supplement the access service. So I think that that'll help. And then we're always trying to optimize our trips so that we're not having people on the bus for too long.
Hold the audio now unmuted.
this is Kitty with a question.
Go ahead, Kitty.
Okay. I'm wondering if there are any plans to incorporate rideshare services such as Uber and Lyft to into this plan, and possibly even taxis to kind of just make the whole system more efficient.
Yeah, that is something that with the mobility on demand, different strategies, that kind of dynamic flex, I think is what it was called in the presentation, is similar to that Uber Lyft type, request the ride, it'll come to you and take you there. So we are looking at that. It's not as efficient operationally as you might think, but it definitely is convenient. So we are trying to implement that in places where it makes sense. And if Mark wants to add anything else to that, he's more than welcome to.
Yeah, I mean, that's mainly how that system would be implemented through these on-demand or flex zones. Another thing is with the type of vehicle, not every access ride necessarily needs to happen with a wheelchair accessible vehicle. And with the mobility on demand service, that would include, it won't necessarily just be the big vans that you're used to. It'll be a mix of vehicles depending on what the demand is like in the area, what the need is. Also, if there are tight streets and turning radiuses are an issue. So yeah, that'll all make it easier for everyone, access riders and fixed route riders, many of whom do have disabilities but do not qualify for the access service. So that would be something that's open to everybody and fully accessible as well.
This is Jamie. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Jamie.
Okay, so I have a question with regard to, you were talking about going to electric vehicles. What accommodations can be made so that we can hear those vehicles? Because right now, the blind and vision impaired, we kind of rely on the diesel engine to kind of help give us a cue as to where the bus is. We can't always hear with electric vehicles the sound of those motors, and that's a common occurrence with cars and things like that we're dealing with now. So I was wanting to see what accommodations we've made to increase that audible awareness for us, so that we can have that ability to hear the vehicle to try and locate it.
I think that would be something that would be really great to work with some agencies here, CABVI being one of them, to try and figure out, if we do go with the electric vehicle, what sort of sounds can we add to the functionality of the vehicle itself that make it more audible for those with visual impairments. So that's a great comment that we will definitely take into consideration and make sure that it's able to be heard, and so that people know where the vehicle is.
And this is Aaron Bly, also from CABVI, and I agree. I'm working directly with Taylor Liggins at SORTA on a lot of these issues, and being on the board will help as well. So we would be more than happy to continue to help and work with SORTA on all of these issues that we've heard about tonight, just as an FYI.
Is there a way to add the annunciator to the access buses, just like we have on the Metro buses, so the blind and visually impaired can actually hear like a voice announcement?
That is something to also consider, and something that we would need some additional IT resources for. The fixed route side has a system that allows them to play those announcements at specific locations and stops. So it's something that we need to look at, and we will look at for access in the future.
It's Matt again. I have somebody who here at LAD who cannot hear, but he's going to be using access. What's the best way for him to hear the bus? I mean, because he can't really hear that well. I mean, is it better for him to look out for the bus, you think?
It depends on his location, but yeah, if he has a window out to the street where he can see the bus coming up toward the curb where his house is, or apartment building, or wherever he resides, house. If he can visually see that, that would be best. Sometimes we, for certain clients, we will put comments to, if they have visual impairments, make sure that you honk the horn 3 times so that people are aware that you're there. But I would say, yeah, make sure that he is in his pickup window looking out to see if the bus is there every couple minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, folks, it sounds to me like we're about to wind down, and we are right within our 1-hour window that we promised we'd get done within. So I want to thank all of you for being here this evening and being part of this. It was very important and extremely valuable feedback that we got. I want to thank Mark and Lisa and our interpreter for being here as well. I also want to thank Aaron and the folks at the CABVI organization for helping to convene this meeting tonight. And with that, I would like to wish everyone a good night. Try to stay warm and stay safe. And thanks for coming. We'll see you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cool. Yay.